wanted to talk just a little bit about a favorite hymn of mine. It's one that was written by our friend Charles Wesley. Back in 1740, he was preaching in the fields of the parish of, it was in County Down, Ireland. And as happened a lot, he was attacked by people who didn't actually like his doctrines. So he sought refuge in a house that was located on what was known as the Island Bar Farm. And the farmer's wife, Jane Lowry Moore, told him to hide in the milk house down in the garden. Pretty soon, the mob came looking for Charles Wesley. They showed up and they demanded that if he was there, he'd be turned over. In the best fashion of the UMW Methodist women, what Jane Moore did instead was to offer them refreshments. And while they were chowing down, she slipped off down to the milk house. She directed Brother Charles to go through a rear window and hide under a hedge that ran by this little brook by their house. He did so, and as he was hiding under that hedge, the mob came out and the shouts of his pursuers were all around him. And while he was hiding in the hedge, he wrote down the words to this song. It was one of the 6,500 hymns he wrote. Some say it was the best hymn that he ever wrote. Here's how it started. Jesus, lover of my soul, let me to thy bosom fly, while the nearer waters roll, while the tempest still is high. Hide me, O my Savior, hide, until the storm of life is past. Safe into thy haven guide, oh, receive my soul at last. I don't know how composed you have to be to compose a hymn while you're hiding under a hedgehog and there's people all around looking for you. He went on to say that while the storms of life come, we really have no other refuge. He wrote a stanza that was never been sung. It's never even been in most versions of the hymnal. It said this, Wilt thou not regard my call? Wilt thou not accept my prayer? Lo, I sink, I faint, I fall. Lo, on thee I cast my care. Reach me at thy gracious hand, while I of thy strength receive. Hoping against hope I stand, dying and behold I live. Isn't that a rather incredible testimony to God's grace? Because there will be days, I can promise you, maybe it's today, on which we may find ourselves hoping against hope, where the only place we can stand is on the truth of the gospel. He went on to write a third verse. It's the second verse now in our hymnal. It goes like this. Other refuge have I none, hangs my helpless soul on thee. Leave me not alone, still support and comfort me. All my trust on thee is stayed, all my help from thee I bring. Cover my defenseless head with the shadow of thy wing. Well, the song went on to say something that I think speaks to Methodist preachers sometimes, but it really should speak to all of us. Because he talked about what it means to sort of follow Christ. This is what he said. Thou, O Christ, art all I want, more than all in thee I find. Raise the fallen, cheer the faint, heal the sick, and lead the blind. Just and holy is thy name. I am all unrighteousness, false and full of sin I am. Thou art full of truth and grace. This song, Jesus, Lover of My Soul, was the last song sung by Charles Finney. He's a great evangelist in this country. And on the day before his death, he sang this. Henry Ward Beecher, a prominent preacher in the American early days, once said, quote, I would rather have written that hymn of Wesley's than to have the fame of all the kings that ever sat on the earth. It's more glorious, it has more power in it. On the other hand, when Charles first presented his hymn to his brother John Wesley, John didn't like it. He rejected it on the ground that it was kind of too sentimental. It was just too sappy. Well, John hadn't been hiding under the hedgehog from the crowd, I suppose. So though it was published in 1740, the hymn didn't come into general use until after Charles's death. And then it quickly began to appear in every hymnal that was ever published in the Methodist movement, even ours now. It said, in fact, that in the years after the Civil War, a former soldier of the Confederacy was talking one day with several other veterans from both sides of that conflict. He shared how he had been detailed one night to shoot an exposed sentry of the opposing army. He had crept near, he was about to fire with deadly aim, when the sentry began to sing this song, Jesus, Lover of My Soul. He came to the words, cover my defenseless head with the shadow of thy wing, and the hidden Confederate soldier lowered his gun and he crept away. I can't kill that man, he said, though he were 10 times my enemy. In the group listening to this story was an old Union soldier who quickly said, was that in the Atlanta campaign of 1864? Yes, he said. Then I was that Union sentry, said the man. Then he went on to tell how on that night, knowing the danger of his post, he had been greatly depressed and anxious. And so to keep up his courage, he'd begun to hum that hymn. By the time he was finished, he was entirely calm, he was fearless. Through Charles Wesley's song, thus, God spoke to not one, but to 2 souls. So I trust he can speak to your soul as well. Now, should you go to Ireland, by the way, which I can highly suggest, you can find that same little house where Mrs. Moore's family still lives. I'm not so sure the hedge is still so obvious. But what is obvious is that Charles Wesley went on to say in his hymn, plenteous grace with thee is found, grace to cover all my sin. Now, the reason that you may not know this hymn as well is that in the Methodist hymnal, it has a different tune to it. And it's a great Welsh tune. It's one of those haunting Welsh melodies called Aberystwyth. The Welsh have a tendency to put too many consonants in all of their names. It's named for a city in Wales. It's now kind of a resort area. That tune is also the national anthem of Tanzania, if you ever go there. Beth, play that one for a minute, would you?
Fly, while the nearer waters roll, while the tempest still is high, Hide me, oh my Savior, hide, till the storms of life are past. Safe into thy haven guide, oh, receive my soul at last.
It's a little more haunting, isn't it? I think I like the other tune better. So as we come to the last verse of it, a verse of this hymn, we'll go back to that first tune and listen to it and see the climax Charles Wesley builds to.
Plenteous grace with thee is found, grace to cover all my sin. Let the healing streams abound, make and keep me pure within. Thou of life, the fountain art, freely let me take of thee. Spring thou up within my heart, rise to all eternity.
I hope that becomes one of your favorite songs too. Find it in the hymnal, sing it to the other hymn. And if you're lucky, really lucky, maybe the luck of the Irish, GT and Beth will come along and they'll do it with you.